but we have things like AI and automation, and it's really a supply chain problem and a communication problem and an IP and proprietary information problem, and getting all these people to work together, it's a bitch, but it's totally possible.
We're live with the Dream Team. How's everyone doing?
It's a damn good day to have a damn good day.
Oh, damn. Yeah, we're here with Maddie. We're here with Danielle. We're here with Rachel, part of the Happy Takeoff crew. And you guys are on a freaking mission. And damn, you guys are going quick and fast. I'm so excited you guys are all in one room right now.
Yeah, the energy has been freaking off of the wall. We've been saying that we have a climax every day. We've been on the road for what now?
I don't know.
About a month.
No idea. We're time traveling.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be great just to start off and do a little bit of a background on where you guys are all coming from, because all three of you are, ridiculously intelligent humans. And I know you guys all have a different way of looking at things. But Maddie, let's just start with you a little bit. What you've been up to and your background.
Should I take it all the way back to the main days, digging bloodworms?
Yo, so I was in the womb.
Yeah, came out the womb. Yeah, so I got a BS in biomedical engineering, but I became very, very quickly distracted. I was sweeping floors pretty much for beer money at that point, but it was at a composites manufacturing lab, and I was able to really climb up that ladder and work through all the lab ops and write a training program for cranes and man lifts. And then I said, fuck this office. I got to actually use my hands again. So I took the training program and I started working then. We put in a new lab for structural thermoplastic composites, trying to make automotive parts faster with a big emphasis on sustainability, which was super cool. So we hired a program manager. He was brand new. I was kind of been there maybe for 2 or 3 years. And I walked into his office and I said, hey, that is a cool 3D printer you ordered. Like, what do you have planned for that? And it was just a conversation at the time. But
What's
I walked
a 3D
out,
printer?
What's a 3D printer? You know what a 3D
I'm
printer
the audience.
is. Okay, so this is FDM technology to be able to print molds. So you just have... Oh, man, I don't even know how to break this down.
I'm just fucking with you.
Okay, plastic comes out of a little nozzle, and then you build it up until you have the part that you want. But we were using it for molds to be able to put them in a press and stamp parts super freaking fast. Anyway, so I walk out with a new job. I didn't anticipate that happening at all, and got connected with the full composites industry. I've been working really hard with a number of tier ones and OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, to help them identify how they can make aircraft faster, how they can make cars faster, how they can be way more sustainable and cut all that waste shit that's coming off of their line, and just get everybody in the same room together, which is exactly how I met these two amazing women, and Ian for that fact.
Thank you for that background. So you're basically a plastics guru. When it comes to plastics, there's a whole world behind it that you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Love plastic. People don't say that enough, actually. You don't hear that one.
Plastic's awesome.
Unless they're talking about their cards, then everyone loves plastic.
True.
My background is not in any kind of engineering or aerospace. I actually have a degree in biomedical biology, minored in chemistry, minored in music, and was minding my own business, working my way through med school. And this chick here, Danielle, found me and kind of saw what I could bring to the table, and then she latched onto me and never let me go. So yeah, I just, we click so well. We have great ideas together. We work well together. We're twin flames. Like, we work actually, we're triplet flames now, Maddie. Yeah,
we are.
Yeah, we've graduated to triplet flames.
Love it.
Yeah.
So it's really cool I know, Danielle, your voice is a little bit raspy right now. You've had a great night, a great trip to Santa Monica. You guys are making moves. The stories you tell me are just insane. But I got a little bit of your background being an aerospace engineer, and from where you came to where you're at now is just absolutely unbelievable. It's really a beautiful story, and I know we'll get more about that in later. But you guys are dreaming big here. You're thinking big, you're talking big, and your company, Happy Takeoff, is something that is looking to revolutionize the world we live in today. And we're talking straight Uber, flying around from skyscraper to skyscraper because you can't be late. Everyone in LA is 45 minutes to an hour late. We're going to try to bring that down to 15. And you guys are legit trying to build an infrastructure to fly people around conveniently. So that's kind of crazy. Where did this idea come from? And let's kind of talk about that.
Productivity. It really begins at productivity. And one thing that we want to emphasize is that we're focused on the medical side. We're focused on the rescue side. We're focused on getting people that are handicapped or elderly and they can't get around as we can, even in the car, sitting in traffic and hating our lives for a little while. We're all a customer. We all want to move faster. We all want to get more shit done in the day. So how do you enable that? You got to go above it. You have to go above the infrastructure that we have today and really think in a futuristic aspect. We've all seen the Jetsons. That shit is real. And that's what we're working on right now. And it's been really amazing to have this kind of convergence of worlds. My background's in manufacturing. Danielle's on the structural engineering, aerospace engineering side. We have been so grateful to meet amazing mentors over and over and over again. And every day is unbelievable that we're having these different conversations and you start to realize the impact that you can have. And it just gets addicting, right? I had a meeting earlier this year. I said, dude, this is 365 days of work for me. I will not stop until I get this shit done. I don't know what the end goal is in terms of how far it can go, but it's when work becomes passion. That's when the 80-20 rule kind of disappears, honestly, for me, because it's all 100. It's all freaking amazing. It's so passionate about it.
Awesome. Yeah, well said. And what kind of got us interested in infrastructure? So, what you're referring to is something called urban air mobility. Your viewers may or may not have heard of that. Basically, it's air taxis. We're talking about vehicles that are completely electric. They're much better for the environment. It's a much more efficient ride. And that's kind of what got us interested in the industry as a whole. The idea flows with our core values very well. Like, we want to sustain the earth. We want to make the world a better place. So there are, last I heard, over 220 different companies building these vehicles. And the goal, like what we're trying to accomplish in terms of manufacturing, is to be able to build upwards of 10,000 per year of these vehicles. And when that rolls out, it's gonna be huge, and the infrastructure is gonna have to expand equally fast. Otherwise, these vehicles aren't gonna have anywhere to land.
And by infrastructure, we mean like where will they take off and land from?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where we felt like our niche is building these ports for people to take off and land from. So we've been kind of brainstorming, like what kind of problems, what challenges are there to implementing this infrastructure. All the buildings that are existing today will have to be retrofitted with this. And, moving into the future, they can plan it into the building and it can be kind of integrated into the design. But in order to retrofit buildings and make them accessible to this air taxi infrastructure and to be able to benefit from the traffic and from the extra throughput, then they'll have to retrofit. And kind of the current method of doing that, it's a major construction problem. Like, you have to bring in cranes, you have construction crews. It's very intrusive. The cranes block traffic. It throws everyone off.
Yeah.
It is. It's a construction nightmare. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we saw. And so we designed a product that can be prefabricated. It's completely modular. It's mobile, so it's not a permanent fixture on the roof. So if they change their mind, or if for whatever reason the vertiport needs to go away, vertiport being the landing takeoff area, we can come take it down just as easily as we put it up. But our vision is to be able to come send our technicians in maybe a day or two, depending on the order, of course, and the complexity. But our vision is to be in and out within a few days, and no cranes.
So you guys already designed this product? It's already, a functional thing. I could go buy it right now?
The prototype will be out in May.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you guys are constantly just building up on it. You're building this easy to install, essentially roof rack for these air taxis.
Yeah, and there's a lot of implications of this structure, right? You got to think about how are you charging the air taxi, what's the weight, what's the payload that's able to land on that. The landing gear that comes from all these different air taxis has to be compatible with the system.
Weather like?
Yeah, so if we're dealing with X, Y, and Z different platforms right now, they all have different landing gear. So that means we have to accommodate for all of them, or we pick who we think will be the winners in this race. And we go forward with that and create different strategic partnerships, because the manufacturers of these aircraft, in order to have a workable product, it has to land somewhere. So they need people to work on this. But it's kind of a large feat to design an air taxi and deploy it with the FAA right now, because they're going to be in airspace that it's urban space, right? So it's very...
Yeah, you can't have one of those fail.
There's a lot of problems that we have to work through right now. And the opportunity is huge and the technology exists, but they're busy with the actual aircraft. So they need somebody to be working with to be able to accelerate their product and the uptake and the consumer adversity to the potential aircraft in the sky over their head. Like, we need people to be working on the education platform. We need this podcast. We need everybody to listen to this damn podcast so that they want to learn about urban air mobility and air taxis, and they can understand like how they're actually getting from point A to point B. Because right now, a lot of the different processes that are used to make, let's say, a radome or a wing skin, they're so labor intensive. It's like sewing. Ian, have you ever sewed a gown?
I've tried knitting before. I
sewed some pants
Rachel, you did
recently.
too.
It's a bit difficult. And it's long, and it's kind of just like stuck in these old pack ways, but we have things like AI and automation, and it's really a supply chain problem and a communication problem and an IP and proprietary information problem, and getting all these people to work together. It's a bitch, but it's totally possible. And the impact and the effect of getting these people convened and being able to work with them and partner with them and understand what they need. It's always about, what does your customer need? What does your partner need? And then you fill that gap. That's so vital. So vital.
Yeah, and we kind of like knew that. So we were super obsessed with like the air taxi, urban air mobility idea, but things like took like a super big turn when we started looking at medical. And Rachel is a doctor. Well, almost.
I'm wrapping up med school now. So as far as medical, we actually met with a mentor of ours yesterday. It was such an incredible meeting. And she gave us such good advice, and she put us in contact with a project that we can do now, where we're helping to provide access to medical supplies, especially in parts of the
organ transplants. Literally, we're saving lives.
Yeah, organ transplants, as well as trauma, emergency medicine type of access out in the wilderness. And so they're kind of looking at expanding that in parts of the country. And so we're getting our hands into that. And we see this as a great opportunity to really kind of perfect our prototype and learn. And
so your prototype, though, the mission A here is getting these landing strips on top of roofs. Like that's the number one thing right now, because we're 3 to 5 years away from an efficient air taxi to take flight. What are your thoughts there?
So the medical stuff is happening now. So that's kind of where we see to start. Yeah, end goal is to get them on the roof, but sort of like the medical and package delivery are the things that are going to enable us to get there.
And the air taxis right now, they are flying. EHong has gone public on the U.S. market. Their CEO has been filmed in the aircraft in China. That's today. That's checking the box there. And their other projects, they're all doing their experimental flight. They're trying to get their hours to be able to certify, and they're working very closely with the FAA to identify what's the difference between the certification of an aircraft and an air taxi for, let's say, a 777 Boeing aircraft versus a Joby Aviation.
These are aircrafts you're referring to?
Yeah, well, so Joby Aviation, Karam, Kitty Hawk, we have a lot of active projects right now. Lilium, they all are doing their different tests right now to be able to prove out the viability of these aircraft.
So there's this air taxi race going on right now in the world.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is a race, but we want to like focus on like, this isn't something that should be rushed. We want to do it right, because like you said, nobody can die. This can't fail. So there's a lot of startups that are involved that don't really have an aerospace background. And it's like, oh, you don't really want to rush this. This has to be perfect. It has to be perfect.
So the government must be hand in hand in all this.
Oh, yeah.
Because are all these companies trying to win that next level contract to be able to do this? Is there only going to be one or two winners? Or is this a type of thing where you're going to have a BMW air taxi, a Chevy air taxi, you know, all different types?
Yeah, they have to be compatible for sure. But in terms of, does it have to be one perfect system? Absolutely not. And all of the companies actually do have to work together because there's a lot of design power, a lot of engineering power, a lot of management that's got to go into this. And it's even, let's say there's a 400-person company. This is a way bigger problem than that. So it's an interesting, competitive, and synergistic trade-off between all these companies right now.
Well, I like what Danielle mentioned because I asked her before yesterday when we were all hanging out about, aren't you nervous that you're kind of just sharing all your secrets openly to everybody and without any cares? And what you said was the farthest thing from, because you're not sitting here trying to make this for you. You're trying to do this for the betterment of society.
Exactly.
And you're trying to move the needle. And if anyone can listen to this advice and move it quicker, then that's great. And if you guys, Happy Takeoff can be a big part of that, then that's the goal. But you know, that I think that mission is going to allow you guys to function at just such a higher level because that's how I think you're so good at connecting with amazing people. That's why, you know, I don't know if we can mention who you just mentioned, but, you know, just the other day you're hanging out with Morgan Freeman. I know that. You guys are able to meet with these people because
he's saying happy birthday to me. It was amazing. He's so nice.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy. All right.
That's cool.
But you guys just are able to be at a high frequency, and you're trying to help people that you kind of have this, you know, philanthropic way of doing business that everyone wants to help you, and it's opened a lot of doors for you.
So Ian, thank you for saying that. That really comes to our core values and what you know, brought all of us together as Happy Takeoff is that we share these values. And there's been kind of a business model that I think is on its way out, but it's been prevalent for a long time, and that's, you know, profit over everything. And we're starting to really appreciate the disadvantages of that. And for us, of course, you know, running a business, you want to make a profit. But the most important thing to us is that we want to make the world a better place. We want it to be sustainable. That's why we support renewable energy. That's why we support electronic vehicles. And, you know, we believe in humanity. We want everyone to be treated with respect, be treated well. And, you know, we live by these rules, and we won't compromise in terms of trying to network. Like that's the people have to share those values to be, you know, to work with us, to work with Happy Takeoff.
Yeah. Another thing that's very interesting about this group you guys got is inside the plastics world, inside of this aerospace engineering world, it's a predominantly male world. And I know Maddie, you know, Maddie's been a good friend of mine for so long. I mean, she is just one of the best connectors and people talkers and just overall good humans that I've ever met.
You were going to call me a guy there for a second. She's a dude.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, I've known her forever. She's been female the whole time. Trust me, guys.
Yeah, you guys totally just threw off my thought.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
But you have assembled this dream girl squad that's just all about helping the world, saving the planet, and your frequency and your vibe. You guys all, I would think that you guys were all sisters.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive when we're together. Danielle and I have similar but very opposing strategies, and Rachel has her own craft of her own, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, we met, and literally one night of us hanging out, I was like, you want to be co-founder? Actually, she told me, she was like, I'm kind of butthurt that I'm not one of your co-founders. I was like, you wanted to be a co-founder? Dude, I've been one, and you fucking come on.
And they say don't invite yourself to the party.
It was a wrap. So she's been a co-founder ever since.
Well, you guys do things very differently. You know, as you can listen here, you're not the suit and tie like, excuse me, everybody. Welcome to today's meeting.
Oh, I love the suit. Fuck a tie. But I always wear my beanie. I took it off for this because headphone problems. But
you guys can be real. You know what I mean? Like if it's drinking a beer while you're at a meeting, like you guys just get comfortable. You get into flow. And Danielle, you said that's something that really pissed you off about the aerospace world is that you felt like people were so inefficient, like spending so much time going through processes, and just you could get so much more done in such a shorter period of time. And that's kind of the way you like to do things.
I like to go fast. Like some of these huge corporations, I feel like the whole job could be done with like 10 people. I'm like literally everything that it's taking 10,000 people to do, we could probably do with 10 people. Legit. Like we don't need 10,000 people to do this. So yeah, it was super inefficient. Lots of paperwork. Hence why we're not going to do that stupid report for CES. CES was lit. We did get to get inside some air taxis, but we're not doing a fucking report out. We're not making a PowerPoint to tell you guys what we just fucking told you. That's stupid. That's the type of shit we're trying to get away from. Like,
yeah, and that goes way beyond aerospace. Anything manufacturing, automotive, renewable energy, like that shit in the factory is whack.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it could be so much faster, and there's so much bureaucracy. And every time where we go to identify, we're like, hey, what's the problem with who we're working with? Oh shit, it's because they don't get it. You know, they don't understand that the systems they have in place are the problem. It's the information flow. It's the pathways for communication. It's the hesitancy to reach out and work with other people because you're paranoid they're going to steal something you have. Like that
or
culture
you're
goes
embarrassed
way
that
back.
they're going to think you're dumb. Like some people don't ask questions, like not same respect.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the really cool things about where urban air mobility is right now is that everyone is innovating right now, and it's really exciting, and everyone is working together. Everyone is synergistic, because if UAM as a whole doesn't succeed, then each company is not going to have an industry for their product. So it's really to everyone's advantage that the industry as a whole survives and
It's like
thrives.
the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
This is like the coolest time to be alive. Like literally the future is now. This has never happened. This is freaking cool.
It seems like you got the whole Elon Musk philosophy, which is just open source everything.
Yep, exactly.
We're trying to better society.
Yeah, like if somebody watches this and they're like, ooh, I'm going to steal all your ideas, yo, I would probably hire you. Like if you can do everything that we talked about, like hit me up and like let me learn from what you did. Well, how did you make ours better? And let's make yours better. Like, yeah, there's no such thing as competition. That's an illusion.
Yeah, everyone we found so far that looks like they could be competition, we've met with them, and there's just tons of synergy and cooperation.
Yeah, we end up like working with them.
Yeah, they become our friend.
Yeah, like good friends.
Yeah.
Well, that's like this place of abundance that's so crucial for building a successful business, which can go into every state of life. I mean, every one of us has, our ego sometimes thinks that like, I can't tell this person because of this person, but there is so much people in the world. There is so much money. There's so much opportunity.
Yep.
It's the people that think from abundance. They
Yep.
give. The more people they serve, the more things that come back to them tenfold. Obviously there are certain things when it comes to IP and certain that you got to be protective of, but just this mindset of let's all do this together is very powerful.
Yeah, and the connections you make from just being a straight up human, like everybody's on the same page. Everyone's going forward, walking this world with the same mission. They want to walk on it the next day. They want their kids to walk on it. They have different paths to get there to that goal, right? Obviously. Yep. But like just being kind, like getting somebody ice if they need it, like just telling somebody hello, smiling, like you're on an aircraft. This bitch obviously doesn't want to be there anymore. She's had a long day, but she's still tucking you in, and you're smiling, and you're just like laughing. You're smiling and laughing, and then you realize like, oh my God, I'm talking to the CEO of the biggest aircraft manufacturer in the world. Like, I actually really needed you, but I was just getting you ice. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened.
That's the story of your life, Maddie. I mean,
Well, we heard yesterday from this amazing mentor that has walked into our life. So she said, I love synchronicity, which that shit pops up all over. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But she said something else I hadn't thought about, and she said, I love serendipity. Almost even more. And I was thinking in my head, like, that is how I live my life. I follow these leads that spiral out of control, and they turn into this tree, and next thing you know, I'm like in the Amazon rainforest with binoculars, like, how did I get here?
Yeah, she also said synchronicity to the synchronicity power. I
Yeah,
was like,
that was awesome.
oh, we've been on some exponential shit lately.
And
like, hella exponents go.
And Ian, what you mentioned again, not to go back to our core values, but what motivates us to succeed? It's not because we want a big house with a Lambo in the driveway. You know, that's not on our radars. What's on our radar is like, you know, what would the success of Happy Takeoff, what would that enable us to do? And we each have different causes that we're very passionate about. Like, for example, I'm very passionate about transgender advocacy. Sorry, advocacy. Yeah. And like Danielle's very passionate about helping the homeless and the needy, and Madeline has another idea for kind of a nonprofit. Do you want me to mention
me to go
it,
into
you
this?
can go.
Yeah, I
you
think
can.
so.
Yeah,
We've got big problems in the healthcare industry. I have personally been by my friend's side for the past 5 years since he got diagnosed with leukemia. A couple years later, couldn't do radiation anymore, got a bone marrow transplant from his amazing sister, and shortly after got graft versus host disease, which that shit sucks. Like, there's no research in it. It's all about the rejection of stem cells, just to tie it back for the layman on here. So it's something that's so unknown and overwhelming to the doctors, and there's so many hands in the pot, and there's no way to get, from my experience and my research, the proper care that you need, especially when you live somewhere that doesn't have the most amazing population numbers. It doesn't have the best doctors in the world. That accessibility to healthcare, that's a fucking problem. And I'm so passionate about it. And to see the crossover between Happy Takeoff and our mission, and me personally helping my friend and being supportive for him, because he means so much to me. And just being able to enable that, to being able to enable access to healthcare I'm so passionate about that. So
you're taking this one passion, but you get excited about where it leads to.
Yeah, and we had this epiphany. We're like, oh my God, our mission is Nay. Nay is our mission. Like, Rachel the doctor, Danielle the aerospace engineer, used to be rapper, still is rapper, but I don't know if you'll see her on the stage again anytime soon for that.
Probably drunk in a hotel room though, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You let that voice heal up first, though.
Yeah,
Doctor's
yeah.
orders.
Yeah, okay.
And then me on the manufacturing side and being able to enable things like different transplantable organs and the accessibility of that. And it's so deep in my heart, you know, like it I don't know how. I don't know the exact steps. There's going to be some synchronicity. There's going to be some serendipity, but we're going to save Nay.
We're going to save Nay.
And the end goal is for him. He's going to tell this story, and he's going to walk out on that stage, and he is going to crush. And he's going to become an electric engineer. I mean, seriously, you guys, he was getting chemo, trying to go to class because he wants to be an electrical engineer, walking with a cane. Like, this kid's got balls.
Yeah, kid's got some serious balls.
We are so happy and grateful now that Nay has made
a full recovery and is not in pain.
Well, it's crazy because it requires income. It requires resources to make all of these changes.
Do you want to know how I kicked that off?
How
I changed that paradigm?
Tell me.
Threw away just about everything that I own. I gave my cat away. I got rid of my apartment. I'm like super living on the road right now, just working. And I got rid of all of the baggage that was kind of tying me down. You know, I could eat beans for dinner. I eat baby food all the time. I love baby food, actually.
Me too.
But it's about taking everything that you have and investing it into the mission. You know, that's back to Musk, right? You saw that multiple times, again and again. And Danielle, tell how you start. How did you do this?
I just got tired of my job and I quit. I had no backup plan. I kind of had Happy Takeoff in my mind for a while, and I was like, it's time to... I study law of attraction, Think and Grow Rich. Lately, I've learned about like Bob Proctor and all of that stuff, but now I've like even been involved in like Deepak, Sadhguru, and some of those spiritual teachers. And I mean, faith and belief is everything. And the scariest thing is to take that leap, but I did. And then like 2 weeks after I quit my job, my house in Oklahoma, I was renting it to this guy, and he had been renting this house for me for like 3 or 4 years. And he just out of the blue was like, oh yeah, I'm getting married and sorry, I'm breaking my lease. And I'm like, oh fuck, that was like my only income that I had just went away. I guess I'll just fucking sell it and I'll just fucking put it all into Happy Takeoff. And I did. I went all in and haven't looked back.
And also, I would like what you mentioned earlier about coming from abundance. Like, we see that as not just applying to one currency. Like, it doesn't just apply to money. There are many currencies. Like, positive energy is a currency. Like, being grateful, being happy, like empowering other people. Those are all currencies. And so, you know, maybe if we're still looking for one currency, it's like we have this other thing in abundance. And so we contribute what we can to the universe. You know, whatever we have been given, we remind ourselves every day. Like Danielle said, you know, we are so happy and grateful. That's like, we do that every day. We say we are so happy and grateful for, you know, we got to list off all the things. It's so hard to list everything.
Have the resources to make the world a better place.
Well, it's real. What I am so fascinated with your group is that you're all ridiculously intelligent people to the point where you can have a very high level conversation with an aerospace engineer or, you know, the head of the largest, not like biggest corporations in the world. But at the same time, you can hang out with the bum on the street and, you know, spit some game and have a good time.
Oh, you're talking about when I danced with that guy in Dallas, aren't you?
Of course.
I don't know this story.
Oh, that's funny. No, Ian and we were in Dallas. I was speaking at a conference. He flew in. We went to a different conference after, but we went out for a night. Our girls, Case and Kai, were there too. Shout out Case and Kai.
What's up, Case and Kai?
Twinspiration, right?
Yeah, Twinspiration. Ooh. But yeah, we were like trying to find the next bar to go hang out at, and this guy was just chilling outside. It was pretty dead in there, so they were dropping hella tunes, and I'm like grinding there. The whole restaurant was like walking out to come and watch. Ian's videotaping. It was fun.
Can we please put a clip?
Yeah,
right here.
Oh, hey, I have something really important to say real quick. While we're doing shout outs, there's actually a fourth member of our team who's
Dominique
not here today.
in this bitch.
Dominique McLean, you're amazing, and we love you so much, and we miss you. We wish you were here.
She is here.
She's here. In spirit. Her energy
She's
is
here. Yep. And Katie, what up, Katie?
What up, Katie?
Yeah, the team, the Happy Takeoff team. Yeah. Air taxis.
Can you feel the happy?
I can feel the
Is
happy.
it vibrant?
High vibration.
Well, you guys, you know, you two have come from organizations that are very more, you know, bureaucratic and, you know, to the point. And now all of a sudden you have this infinite freedom. And I'm sure there's a lot of lessons you guys are going to be learning. And especially
daily.
Because you literally went from a ginormous company where there's processes in place. And now you guys are a startup. And startups can go really quickly. Like you guys were just talking the other day that you put together, you know, months and months of work within 1 week.
Yeah. These
Yeah,
ladies convinced me to fly to Wichita, Kansas
on Christmas Day. We were like, fuck celebrating. You want to come work?
Who in
She's
their
like,
right mind goes to Wichita, Kansas for Christmas?
And we're like, hey, fucking Post-its all over the fucking apartment. The whole apartment is a whiteboard now. The glass, we have dry erase boards. I mean, we have dry erase markers in our car, like for notes, like write that down. Like,
Yeah, I was filling whiteboards at like 4:30 in the morning every day for 7 days until I woke up and I was like, oh shit, I got some people I need to make sure I still have relations with. Oh yeah.
Pretty sure at one point Madeline had the whiteboard on her lap in my dog's bed.
Yeah.
Like my dog had to got this new memory foam bed for Christmas, and we got her dog's present.
That was comfy.
I slept in it, I think, the next night.
It was such a powerful experience too when Maddie came to Wichita.
It was.
Because that was the first time the three of us would work together, and
without
like,
bosses. It was
Danielle and I, we've always clicked. Like her strengths are where my weaknesses are, and my strengths are where hers are, and that's what you want, I think, in a team. And so we were seeing as like, oh, there's so much synchronicity here, but something we came to realize that there are still a lot of gaps. And like Madeline brings an entirely different set of strengths that it just complements those gaps so well.
Like, do it again. I'll show you. I'll demonstrate Madeline.
You gotta let Madeline do it.
Yeah, Madeline, what's your job here?
So they're currently.
Oh shit! Did I do that wrong?
This is a bunch
There is a finger
gotta
going
make-
through
you gotta
other
make-
fingers.
She fills the other gaps. She fills the gaps. Yeah. That just
the camaraderie and the teamwork amongst you guys is just fun. You're just a fun gang. You're doing things unconventional. And what's like the dream situation? Like, how do you guys see the next year playing out if everything goes to plan the way you guys would love it to?
I just don't see how it could get any better. We're living the dream right now. Like, every day is the best day of my life.
You know, when you meditate and you try to visualize exactly what you want every day when you wake up, that's what I'm living. That is real life right now. And I don't know how exactly it all played out as it did. Something maybe happened when I learned about sleep meditation when I had that trip to Wichita. That's a hella good tip. You guys look this
Super
up.
glad you brought that up, actually. So, yeah, sorry to cut in, but dude, I was like suicidal. Like back in like July. I didn't have a team. I was by myself. I quit my job. And I mean, I like tried to take my own life. And so I started getting into these like sleep hypnosis, which they were super effective, but I kind of got tired of hearing someone else's voice. I wanted to hear my own voice. So I made my own sleep meditation, and it's on my YouTube. And I just said, I am so happy now that I have the best team. I love coming to work. Like, don't believe me, go listen to it. I haven't even met them yet. Here we are. So, yeah. Everything I said in that sleep thing, and it says listen for 21 days, and I did. I still listened to it. But now I'm like, whoa, there's like everything in it already happened. So,
yeah, we've been feeling like we're in heaven on earth. That's
We're
how
for
we
sure
feel.
in
We're
heaven.
so happy. We're so grateful for everything. I would say like the only thing that could make it better is if we had more resources to address the problems that we're passionate
because you guys are
about.
bootstrapping this business.
We are. Mm-hmm.
But you know, you guys are taking those reserves that you might have saved up and you're investing into this. But at some point, you guys are going to have to raise funding or take the next steps. What does that look like in your eyes?
I don't think we're going to have to. It's so crazy. So, like, you know, when you were like, well, you're going to need money. When we kind of started looking at it from a resources standpoint and just like wanting to help, people literally have been rolling out the red carpet for us. Literally.
And then you take money out of the equation. You're doing a pitch. You don't even bring it up.
Never even comes
That's
up.
when we build our connections.
And people are like, how can I help? I don't think we're going to do fundraising. I don't think we have to.
Damn. But
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds fantastic. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you start scaling to 10, 20, 30 people and you're paying salaries. How do you foresee that happening? Just by selling these products that you're talking about with the whole skyscrapers?
Yeah, I think wait for that'll probably be in the news like 6 months or less. That'll all be answered.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Stealth, baby.
Yeah,
you smell
stealth
it?
mode.
Yeah, I love that. So if you guys could foresee probably the biggest hindrance of something that could squash or slow down your guys' mission right now, what are some of those hindrances? And I know you touched on the one with building codes and making sure that you get government approval for stuff, but what else is kind of on your radar that are going to be some challenges you're looking to overcome?
All these things we consider challenges. We don't see them as things that are going to squash us. Like, they're just things we need to power through. Another thing that is a challenge to urban air mobility as a whole is certification. So this is an entirely new type of aircraft. The FAA doesn't currently have a category that neatly fits these flying electric vehicles. So that's going to have to be established. We're going to need many hours of flight testing time, lots of testing. That's a big challenge that needs to be overcome. Public awareness. A lot of people don't know about urban air mobility, but it's really freaking exciting. And so here we are spreading the word. Like, yeah, it's really cool.
Would you get in
so
an air
amazing.
taxi in?
I don't know. I would actually, let me sell that. I would do anything with the proper amount of peer pressure.
Okay.
You know, with my
So
my
if we
friends.
give you a parachute, you'd hop right in.
Definitely, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, if there's a parachute, then you're
Okay.
straight.
We
Yeah.
gotta take a little drive.
Yeah.
If you're down.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's go for a drive.
What are you doing Monday? Tomorrow?
I think I'm putting a parachute on and getting in an air taxi with you guys. I mean, that's a memory right there. But yeah, it's an interesting.
You've been challenged.
All right. Well, as long as I'm with you guys, I'm in. Let's do it.
We got you.
We're on that vibe.
Yeah.
We got you.
But, and so to add to that, like I don't think anything will really squash it. Certainly something to look out for is like people, like I said earlier, some of these startups are kind of going and trying to rush, and they're doing that sort of typical business model, business plan, seed, Series A, blah blah blah. And that's the old way. That's not how this space operates. The people involved in this space are the best of the best in the world. And the beauty of it is it's like the FAA, all the regulatory agencies, NASA, DOD, everybody, it's the best of the best that are kind of investing in it. So the wrong companies aren't going to get funded. If they do, they're going to be funded by the wrong people and they're not going to get certified. So, I mean, it's just going to work itself out.
Yeah, that's interesting because the airline world is one of the most to the book world. It has to be. That's why what are the statistics with the amount of crashes there are in the world?
It has to be like 10 to the minus 9, like a chance of it crashing. Yeah, I don't know, like it's supposed to be like 1, whatever 10 to the minus 9 is. How do you say that number? What's the 9? You scientists.
10 to the minus 9?
Yeah, how do you say that?
Is that like
1 in a million or 1 in a billion?
But what's the 9? Remember?
Is it pico?
No, I thought Pico was 12.
Maybe it is. I don't remember. It's been
Okay,
too long.
scientific notation people, what's 10 to the minus 9? I know, but how do you say that?
Put it in the comments, guys.
Yeah, put it
we
in
want
the
to know
comments.
what is the term for 10 to the minus 9?
I can't remember if Pico's 12 or 9. I always get those confused. Yeah, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like.
I don't even think.
But there's a word for it. Oh, that was right. You go 10, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 decimal point. Shout out fucking Tyler with the blonde hair that taught me how to do scientific notation on YouTube how long time ago. You guys know that blonde Tyler? Do you know him? Chemist Tyler DeWitt. Shout out.
I'm so blown away about how your brain works, particularly. I know I spoke with Danielle about this, but to be so jacked up about physics and like math to me just seems so crazy.
Dude, it's so fun.
Like late night, you're just like you and a whiteboard. It's just like me and you, girl. We gonna have.
Oh, you're describing so many nights.
I'm sure I drive them crazy with my weird shit that I
Yeah,
listen to.
they cut me off from talking about organic chemistry. They're like, no more of this. We're done. Take your chemistry shit and get out of here.
You can still talk about it. I just need to be not too elevated.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, what's this Morgan Freeman story? How did you meet Morgan Freeman?
Okay, Morgan Freeman. We got a tip about an event called Living Legends of Aviation. And when you get a tip, you follow it. You don't really know why. So we were working with the event coordinators and introduced ourselves, female-led startup company working in aviation. What's a big problem with aviation and aerospace? There's, what did we say yesterday? Stale, male, and dumb? No.
What was it? Stale, pale, and male.
Stale, pale, and male.
That's
It's
what it
a
was.
very old Caucasian man-dominated industry. And they obviously want to put some women into the mix if they're having an event like that. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, we'll give you a tax break if we hire a couple extra females and some people from Africa. That's what we were going to. And mind you, there were some of the most influential people from the aerospace community there. Morgan Freeman, movie Flight, that's why he's there. It was actually kind of funny. Jeff Bezos was supposed to be there and give his award, but instead they go, well, we couldn't get Bezos on stage tonight, so instead we brought you God.
Yeah.
And that was funny.
We were meeting some people, and we were following around one of our new friends, and it seemed like he had an adventurous mind, so we were just seeing
Yeah,
where it
John.
took us. Yeah, so we're just walking around, and I told Danielle and tapped her on the shoulder. I was like, Danielle, do you know who that is on your left side right there? Like, literally, you could touch him. It's Morgan Freeman. Yeah, like that. He was right there. So, and it was my birthday. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting a picture with Morgan Freeman for my birthday. And so went up and chatted him up a little bit. I was like, Mr. Freeman, it's my birthday. Would you mind if we took a picture with you? And he's saying happy birthday to me when I told him that, which was so cool. And he's, of course, he can get a picture with us, of course.
So he's just like,
He also goes, "Wow," or something like that.
yeah.
He's a cool dude.
he's like,
He
I'm
was-
gonna one
he was
up
so
you,
nice.
and he
He was so nice.
He just whips out the acapella and just goes, "Happy birthday," and you're just like, what?
And there was like hella people around. He like dropped everything.
Yeah, it's the Morgan Freeman voice. So it was like my birthday was being narrated. You know, it was a really cool experience. He said, "Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday!" Like just, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he narrates Our Planet, which is the number one
Yeah.
nature docu-series out on the internet right now on Netflix. It's just incredible. You guys wanna have a night? Go watch the Jungle episode.
And also Andy Dufresne's life. He
Yeah.
was a pretty damn good. That's for you old people. People that are Rachel and my age and older.
Andy Dufresne, you're talking Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen Shawshank?
Fun fact, when I was in second grade, I cut out TV and fiction and reading fiction and watched movies and all that shit. I am very careful with what data gets stored in my brain because it's only so big. It's probably getting a little too big, honestly. We can knock that down a little bit, but
Do you guys all have very easily memorizable brains? I know I said that terrible, but are you just easy to store knowledge, or do you have a system in place for you to learn knowledge?
I always thought I did until I started med school, and now I realized, like, yeah, my classmates blow my mind. They pick things up so quick. So many of them have just photographic memory. But yeah, there are definitely strategies for learning. There's a strategy called a memory palace, and it's something that kind of Sherlock Holmes would use. And the idea behind a memory palace is you're basically building like a mental version of a palace in your mind. And say you walk into this imaginary palace, you go into the first room on your left, and that room represents a certain concept. So like for us, say we're trying to memorize, I don't know, vertiports, right? So then you build this room in your mind, and you build it based on what facts you need to remember about vertiports. So maybe we want to remember like the
Dude,
chart.
is this how you think?
Yeah.
I never knew this. This is blowing my fucking mind right now.
I'm telling you. So say you want to remember the charging capabilities of, and this is a very simplified example just for the sake of this giving the idea of what makes this work. But so say that's the fact you want to remember. You're talking about vertiports. So you're in the vertiport room. You want to remember that they have electrical charging capabilities. So maybe you picture there's a table in the room with a phone charger on top of it. And then you remember, oh yeah, in the eVTOL room in this memory palace, there's that charger. They have electric charging. Like, it's just a mnemonic device. There's a lot of cool YouTube videos about it.
Damn.
What was it
Yeah.
called again?
Memory palace.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then there's another technique that a lot of people in med school use where companies will make these like funny cartoons and like they have crazy stories that have nothing to do necessarily with the topic you're trying to remember. So if like you're like trying to remember sickle cell disease, like they just throw like this crazy story about people crossing over the river Styx, and like each little fact about the story is a different detail about the disease. And so a lot of med students use that, and it's very, very helpful. It's a mnemonic device. It's a way to just be able to recall that information.
It's interesting because that means you can teach learning, you know?
You for sure can. Yeah.
I 100% do not think like that. I wish I did.
But you have a photographic memory. You can literally spit raps that you wrote 10 years ago.
So that's so okay. I don't memorize facts anymore. It's processes. If I remember how to do something, I don't need to know like the number or the whatever. I just need to know how does it fit together, and then pretty much everything will kind of work. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
yeah, it's kind of like adjusting the scale of a concept, right? So you have like the low level, every finite fact, but you take it up a notch, and every time you get more ingrained in what you're working with and more involved, and you got to take it to a higher level.
It's variables.
You have to be able to break it down.
Yeah, I think in variables. So they're like, okay, this plus this equals this. And those can be filled in with anything. And if this, and in code, I think in code too, actually. It's pretty weird.
I definitely think in picture, full blown,
Interesting.
visual, all the way. When I'm talking to you right now and trying to describe things, like I'm watching it in my head. I have a super photographic memory, which has been very beneficial, and I'm so grateful for it, honestly. Like when I study, it didn't take very long. I could just read the pages, but I would use colors a lot, kind of in my own palace. We'll call it the animal kingdom. I would write down like the most important things, and I would use different colors, and then I just look at the page for 30 minutes if I had to. If it's a lot of facts.
Something I want to know more. Can you kind of go over maybe one of the most difficult but interesting jobs that you've ever accomplished, or just challenges throughout your career that are just fascinating but might have been pretty difficult to solve?
So when I was studying my undergrad at Wichita State University, my hometown of Wichita, Kansas, I worked in a lab that studied like the chemical structure of different hormones, and they were trying to attain that knowledge in order to offer better medical tests. And so it's a challenge in that, you know, and the whole research aspect of it is that it's so intricate and there's so many different variables to test. And yeah, I don't know, that's what came to mind first when you mentioned that. So
Yeah.
but it was super like interesting, hella interesting. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I loved when I asked this question yesterday. Looking around in my apartment right now, could you take apart materials and just put together an airplane? Like it's the chef example. I know many people that are chefs at professional restaurants, and they can cook the dankest, bombest, most amazing meals, but when they come home, they never cook those meals. They're cooking the most basic eggs because they're tired of cooking. You know, they don't want to bring it home. I wonder if it's the same for you guys. You know, you're working on these complex equations, always working from all these different plastics from all across the world, whatever it is. Do you come home and the brain doesn't stop, so you're just always like building projects at home and just trying to, you know, you figure out a way to turn the water on in the bathroom from over here because of some contraption you made? I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out
absolutely.
how to turn my brain off for little bits of time, you know, because it's gotten to the point where I can't sleep. And it's like everything I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, damn, that's a money-making idea. Oh, shit, that could go together way better. Oh, Danielle, I'm going to need some advice on this because this is a really good idea, and I definitely think we can make it happen. And it's like, okay, what do we want? What aligns with our core values? Where do we have the expertise that it can be harnessed the best, you know? So obviously,
Learning
like
stocks and shit.
yeah, learning about the stock market. Yeah, we're doing better on that front too. If anybody has a good crash course recommendation for stock learning, I don't know. I bought Stock Market for Dummies, and it hasn't been very beneficial so far.
I haven't seen much. We've just been learning it. I think my challenge was probably FTIR. I had to teach myself that. Fourier transfer, infrared. It's not easy. Hardcore organic chemistry. Hence why I'm traumatized.
Okay, it makes sense now.
But
Yeah.
I figured that shit out. Yep.
I think one of the most difficult things about approaching a problem is that at this day and age with so much technology, it takes so many different minds. So if you just sit there and you look at a puzzle and you try to figure it out by yourself, you're kind of wasting a lot of time because people already have the answers. It goes back to that thing of if you kick off a project, you need to hire some people on, hire people that are smarter than you. That's key, you know, and you need to be able to fill those gaps to be able to make shit happen.
Yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, there's a lot of taking things apart and putting them back together that occurs back at the house. Like Danielle came home one day, I had the entire vacuum cleaner taken apart. I was like, I'm about to fix this motherfucker. It's just like all over the table, little parts
That's
everywhere.
funny you say that.
Like,
One of
trust me,
my
I got
first
this.
projects when I was working at the lab was to take apart a traditional paper shredder and use a lathe and like get rid of all the serration and put that shit back together to be able to slit this different photovoltaic material to be able to make a solar cell. And when I was first given the assignment, I was looking at my boss at the time and I'm like, all right, I see you went to a thrift store, maybe like a yard sale this weekend. Are you for real? And I always tell him like that was the best project. That was the best icebreaker to give somebody ever because they look at you like you're psycho. And then you have to do it. And I don't know if you guys have ever taken apart a paper shredder, but it's a bit complicated to put back together if you're told you got to dismantle every single every single little gear on that and put it back. It was fun.
I hope you took pictures.
I got hella pictures of that
Awesome.
shredder.
What are you most looking forward to while you guys build and create this company and the challenges?
McLean for president.
I'm looking forward to the adventure. It's an adventure. We trust the universe to put us in the right place, and it's we don't always know where that's going to be next, but it's been working out.
Yeah,
pretty well,
I think that
so,
goes back to ride the wave.
Yeah.
You never ever know what the next step's going to be, and you never know. Even if you try to plan, I really wanted to plan. There's a lot of mentors and books about planning and strategizing what
Fuck
you
that
want,
shit.
goal setting. I do for sure set goals and write that down. Maybe on the 1 month basis right now is where I'm at with that. But more about just following the lead. Like let the wave crash you down and get back up, and you're going to have bad times and you got to power through it. But that's when you learn, and that's when you figure out exactly what you're passionate about. And that is a really, really powerful way to live life.
It is. And
Love it.
our team dynamic also is such that we empower one another. So like that's it's not competitive at all. We all have so much respect for one another, and we realize that we each have, very different backgrounds, so we can each contribute in certain ways. And if we have a situation where someone can thrive, we're all about it. We want them to shine, and there's no ego. It's all about what makes others fly higher. Like that's what we want. We want to make others fly higher.
And you might have to break a little rule along the way, maybe just a couple rules along the way.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, one thing that's very interesting is looking at successful people and wondering what they could have or would have wished they told themselves if they could go back in time. So if you could go back maybe 15, 20 years or right before you went to college, for example, and you could have said 1, 2, or 3 things that could have saved you a ton of time, money, heartache, and headache, what would some of those things be?
I have thank you. Yes.
you.
Gratitude for sure. But I think it's normal for people to have regrets and things that they question, but I think each experience in life is a learning lesson. And I think that if we went back 15, 20 years, it could be like a butterfly effect thing, oh, I knew this at that age. So
yeah,
you go
but that's
different
I hate
paths,
that
so.
answer because it doesn't give us facts. Like, you're right for sure, but if you could go back in time and say, listen up, Mad, don't do that thing.
Don't be afraid to be yourself. Be genuine. Shine brightly.
I'd go back to be very intentional with who you surround yourself with. I think that's been one of the biggest hurdles in my life, because I'm a homie, right? Like, if I meet people, it doesn't matter where they're at in life, but you have to protect your energy. You absolutely have to protect your energy. And there's so many people that can empower you and bring you up. And you have to be intentional about where you spend your time. I think that is so key. Like, I moved out of my parents' house. You have to protect that energy. And if there's a roadblock, if somebody's not giving it to you, figure out the best possible way to get yourself out of that situation, but keep everybody happy, because you don't want to burn a bridge either, for sure.
Love it.
I would also say to my younger self, be mindful of your internal narrative, like the thoughts that go on when you're not interacting with others, your thought process, like the things you tell yourself. Be mindful of that. It's extraordinarily powerful, because those messages get ingrained into your subconscious, and then you manifest those things. So I made a rule a long time ago. I said, if I'm having a self-narrative that's kind of negative, and I say, oh, I wish this, I wish that, that's just like, it's like regret. It's wasted energy. And to commit like your energy and your focus on those things, it's not easy to do, but if you're able to kind of retrain that self-narrative to always be positive and always be grateful, and always want to share your positivity, your love, that would have been probably what I would tell myself first and foremost. Yeah.
I'm so
Could
grateful.
you repeat that?
No. Thanks for asking.
I'm so grateful, Rachel. You talked so much today because I feel like you weren't talking as much the other day, and you have
I
so
was
much
pretty
amazing
tired.
insights.
I was pretty tired. Sorry.
You're a very interesting, amazing human.
Well,
So
thank you for saying that. Likewise. I
So-
feel that about everyone.
So
here
with
at
that
this
said,
table.
with the happy takeoff, how can people that want to learn more about your guys' journey follow you guys and stay in touch with what you guys are working
The
on?
best social media platform on this
LinkedIn.
planet.
LinkedIn. Get premium so you
Get
can use
premium.
LinkedIn Learning for it's included.
Yes,
They have so many cool courses
LinkedIn.
on there.
It's everything.
Are we sponsored? Like, how do we get our royalty check for that little pitch from LinkedIn?
Yeah.
We don't need that.
I'm just
We're
kidding.
Just giving it to them.
You're right. That's so true. I just meant that as a joke, of course, but that's a very astute observation.
Shout out LinkedIn for being badass.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Also, we have these beautiful Lynn Jones brand coffee cups. It's a damn good day to have a damn good day. How do they
Should we
buy
do
one
cheers?
of these?
I think we need a
Cheers.
cheers.
There it is. Cheers. It is a damn good day.
Cheers to
And
happiness.
first time we've had 4 people on the podcast. So
Monumental.
leave in the comments what you guys think. If we should do this more often, we shall continue going. All right. With that said, I love you guys. Thanks for jumping on the show. And we out.
Namaste.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Ian.